Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Trade the Chain. We have the usual cast on, plus we have our MVP Rob, who's joined us from Digital Asset News. If you haven't seen his channel, definitely check it out. It is one of the great ones out there. But we have Ryan, my co-host. He's coming to us from New York. We have our analysts CJ and Matt from Market Rebellion, and they're coming to us from Chicago. We got Rob from El Paso, Texas, and I'm coming to you from London. But you know, today's going to be a good show. We got a couple of great things to discuss here. The first thing we're going to do, as we do always, is the BTC and ETH markets. Now, with BTC, we've had a relative, I would say, a quiet week. I mean, we have had a range, CJ and Matt, of, like 10.3 to, I guess we're around 10.9 now. We did pierce that 11,000 mark, but can't seem to stay above it. What are we looking at on the big board with BTC?
Yeah, so why don't we go into the charts real quick. Just starting off with BTC, I know last week on the show, we talked a lot about this green sequential 2, and this is where we were at last week. And I said that, typically this green 2 is a buy signal based on the sequential indicator. However, considering the fact that we had fallen so far in this bearish engulfing candle, that wasn't enough conviction to get me in a long at that particular point. But afterwards, the next day, the fact that we followed it up with a bullish green 3 hammer candle right here was really promising from the bullish perspective, especially the fact that we never really formed support in this $1,000 channel right here and right here. So, luckily for the bulls, we rode that all the way up to a green sequential 9. And this particular 9, the fact that we're kind of topping on a doji, and hitting 2 resistance levels that are pretty critical. And I'm sure Monty will share and talk a little bit about that later. But 11K and 11,200 are very strong resistance levels for Bitcoin at this particular point, mostly based on the order book. But this week was a good week to be a bull. And, I'm not bullish right now. I wouldn't have enough conviction to go into a long due to the fact that we're hitting all this resistance. But nevertheless, it was a promising week if you were a bull.
Well, I mean, last week we found, Monty made out going on the short positions. So he was happy. What are you thinking now, Monty? What's the short term here?
Yeah, so I agree with everything that CJ just said right there. And I definitely don't have any conviction entering a long trade right now. But for me, there's a lot of things that are signaling to enter a short-term short trade. So like CJ said, we're topping on this green 9. It's also a pretty doji-ish candle. So I decided to enter a short trade yesterday. I'm hoping to kind of take profit at that if Bitcoin reverts back to around like the 10.5 range, and then maybe even lower from there. But I think one thing that people that are also looking to go short, like I am, need to look out for is these sort of bear traps that are going to be set at the resistance levels that CJ was just mentioning. So yeah, just above 11K, there's some strong resistance levels, and 11.2, 11.4. We see a lot of sell orders right around 11.4 on BitMEX. So I think for that reason, there is a potential bear trap where price could, if you enter a short right now, I would do it with low leverage, because there is that potential that Bitcoin's going to shoot up, hit one of those resistance levels like the one CJ just laid out on the screen for us, and then finally reverse. So for me, I am short, but just be careful for those spikes and those bear traps that are kind of looming here.
We have seen an uptick in open positions with the options and stuff like that. I mean, options were pretty relatively quiet going through August and into September. Do we think any increase open position interest is going to affect the price, or is it just going to remain on its own trajectory?
It's interesting. I think that's something we've kind of been wondering for a while, and I'd kind of be interested to hear your guys' take on this. But I genuinely believe that options trading will one day take Bitcoin trading to the next level. It will bring it this sort of legitimacy and this sort of institutional capital that is really needed to take it to new highs. And I mean, like you said, we've been seeing open interest increase, but it kind of hasn't really been too correlated with price. So I'm waiting to see that happen. But yeah, no, I'm very optimistic about the future of Bitcoin options.
I mean, that's also that's a good point, because when you look at the size of the options market in traditional markets in comparison to the underlying assets, right? There's so much growth for Bitcoin options to grow to many multiples of the underlying Bitcoin market that, I mean, I can't imagine it not growing and bringing more legitimacy, because institutions are more increasingly likely to trade options than they are to trade the underlying, because it gives them more flexibility, no?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. So.
Very cool. And you know, just for background, I mean, for everybody who watches this weekly, I mean, obviously know that Monty and CJ, Market Rebellion, are the crypto chiefs over there. But are options going to be part of the education process over there surrounding Bitcoin?
Not yet, but we have a very thorough options curriculum that is, you know, just for equities and traditional market. And I believe that a lot of those concepts and a lot of those kind of alert systems will one day be applicable to crypto, and not only Bitcoin, but ideally the entire cryptocurrency market as liquidity grows and more volume comes into the collective space.
Yeah, CJ's spot on with that. When we first started at Market Rebellion, part of the requirement was going through the entire education curriculum. And I learned so much about what I know. None of it was specific to Bitcoin at the time, but I learned so much of what I know about TA and also options trading from that. And I think there will be tons of crossover. There already is with the TA, but I think with the types of option strategies and the types of spreads you can put on, I think there will be room for crypto options education to be worked into that.
Sure. And if you don't know, I mean, Market Rebellion is co-founded by John Pete Najarian, two of the best options traders out there on the street. On to Ethereum. We had we opened up in the 371 range at the beginning of the week, and we closed not too much higher than that. It's been kind of a little sideways from a trading activity. We did dip low about 354 on Sunday, Monday. What are we looking like with this? This has also been a different path than Bitcoin. So I love the way I think DeFi has been definitely affecting Ethereum and its own trajectory, but as opposed to where you go back 12 months, there was definitely a correlation.
Yeah, Alex, you make a good point when you say that, because DeFi and a lot of the altcoins are just really pushing Ethereum up. Like it is similar to Bitcoin in the sense that we are making a nice higher low here, much similar to the fact that we're doing that in Bitcoin at around 10,000. But we still have like a lot of speculation in the altcoin market that is really good to see when Bitcoin has a neutral price action, because when Bitcoin has neutral price action or is kind of in a small consolidation period, the fact that we're still seeing bullish speculation is very promising for the overall macro trend. And just to go into a little bit of the TA with Ethereum here, I really like the bounce we got yesterday. We're getting a little bit of correction today with just the correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P is down pretty hard today. But if we get a green 2 closing above this 50-period moving average, breaking this prior high, I really like that as a potential long trade. And the same thing, or kind of a similar thing, happened with NEO earlier in the week when, like, these are the trade setups I very much like when we have a bullish trend that is then breaking above the prior swing high, because we have the bullish momentum, and usually what seems irrationally high typically sometimes goes higher. And so those are the trades that I've really looked for. And I'm hoping Ethereum will do somewhat of a similar thing if we can have enough bullish momentum to break above the 50-period moving average, this gray line right here.
Alex, you both mentioned, you and Alex both mentioned how DeFi, speculation around DeFi is helping to drive Ethereum higher. Can you talk a little bit more about, for our newer viewers, about what that relationship between those DeFi tokens and Ethereum is and why it drives it higher?
Yeah. So Uniswap, decentralized exchange, if you want to get these particular DeFi tokens, typically what you have to do is buy Ethereum first in order to acquire them, much like the ICO market worked back in 2016 and 2017. If you need Ethereum as a vehicle to acquire these tokens, then Ethereum is going to grow naturally along with those the popularity of those other coins or those DeFi native tokens.
So buying Ethereum first before buying the other tokens helps drive up the price of Ethereum, yes?
Correct.
All right. Well, we get to the fun part, and this is going to be interesting. And this is definitely one of the specific reasons why I wanted to have Rob join us today. Our hot or not list, and we have two in the hot today, and we're going to start with Uniswap, which has been, it's just over 48 hours into its listing, and you can see right there on the charts, it has gone ridiculous. We're talking, let's see here, 320 yesterday. We're up over 125, 130% today. What's going on with this? Rob, actually, you start this off because you cover this a lot on your channel.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Before we go over that, I got a question for CJ and Monty. So the Market Rebellion, you guys said you went through their program, and it was a great program, options and TA and everything else. Can the average person just go through that and learn from the masters, Nigerian?
Yeah, it was designed for the beginner all the way to the advanced trader. They start the first course literally explaining the basics of what the stock market is, what an ETF is. So it is designed for anyone can learn from the ground up.
Perfect, because here's the problem on my channel. Well, it's twofold. First of all, I don't do TA. I do not do TA. I did not get into it. I am just an investor. I slowly DCA and that's it. However, on the flip side, the second part is that I have many, many people on the channel who ask me the same question. Teaching about TA, because there's this guy who's got a YouTube channel in some crazy country who's saying that he can give me 1,000x. I got another guy who says he can make me a millionaire tomorrow. And that has got to go. It has got to go and is ridiculous. And they give the most ridiculous advice, which is, you know what, if you're new, no big deal. Just go leverage yourself 100x and you'll be fine. So what I'm always looking for is the right people to partner up with. And if there's something like that, then just let me know. Maybe we could, I could educate some of my viewers about what else is out there besides some crazy guy who's like, I'll make you a billionaire, baby. Okay, so that is the first part. And the second part is with Uniswap, they did a great thing, right? We all know what happened with Sushi Swap and the head chef, whoever he or she is. They pretty much just said, look, I'm going to take all the money that was for the developers because it's mine. And I'm going to go away with it. And that's, tough. That's it. Then something happened, and I will let everybody speculate onto why that person gave that, was it 14 million, 16 million, 18 million, something like that?
It was 14, but Rob, do you think it was because he was called out publicly? Twitter had a loud voice in that, or what?
Who said it? Was it Ryan? I forgot, somebody said it. They said, hey, if someone calls me out and I got 14 million, I'll swallow it. I'll be okay. If you want to make fun of me, well, make fun of me on my yacht because I don't care. So that... But yeah. So I don't know if it was somebody, I just can't remember who it was. And I was like, that's very true, actually. So, there is that one part, but another part, and it's all speculation, just like everything else that's out there, is that he actually got found out, he got put pressure on, and there was going to be some type of legal action, which I don't think that is remotely true. I think it's a combination of both. Maybe the guy, I think inherently we're all good, and when deep down inside we're like, hey, at some point I got to fess up. Or some people are like, nope, everybody's evil. I don't know. So it just depends on what you think is. Anyhow, so we have that issue. And I was talking with Hashoshi. He's another YouTuber. He's a developer. And he said, if he would have done the right thing, which is just in the very beginning, say, look, I need X amount for my salary. I need X amount for this, X amount for that, and just put it all within the smart contract and lay it out, it would have worked out fine. And I think that's the difference between a sushi swap and a Uniswap. Uniswap says, you know what we're going to do? We're making this very fair. 60% of this is just going to go to the community because you're what makes us great. And then they, percentage out it, for the investors, for the advisors, for the developers, and it's all within that smart contract. So it makes sense to do it like that. And that's what would build a great community. And I see big things for Uniswap. So big, of course, that Coinbase listed it last night. I think it was like at 4 Central Time. And of course, after that was listed, here we go for some price action.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, definitely some unimillionaires made over the last 24 hours.
Well, think about this. Like I used Uniswap and I only used, one specific wallet. But what if I had screwed up like, oh, I got to use this other wallet, another wallet? Well, I would have had, 400, 800, 1200 Uniswaps because I used different wallets. It would have been perfect. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going to make a lot of money. Who knows if it's going to keep up this way? That's for that's for CJ, Monty, and Ryan to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, guys,
know as well as you.
From the technicals, is there anything we can even glean from this yet? I mean, this is so early on. Is this just pure hype?
I don't think, I really don't think there's anything we can take from the technicals yet at this point, but I do think there is a lot we can speculate about just looking at Uniswap itself. I mean, like it's community driven, so the developments will be led on community growth, and I think that this community is a particularly innovative community. They have large incentive with their Uniswap tokens to keep this alive. So I think we're just gonna have to watch and see kind of what community-led growth comes out of this. But I do think that this community has what it takes to keep this token alive and kind of keep, I mean, not this sort of sustained growth, but make it a kind of a staple on exchanges.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, I mean, it's a wait and see approach. It's been interesting to follow the DeFi market over the last couple of months and go through its ups and downs. Next on the hot list, we have, Nestry. It's a ticker we haven't heard, very much before. As a matter of fact, I've only come across it a couple of times. Its ticker is EGG, EGG. Now, this caught my eye because it had a price action that happened out of nowhere. I don't even know if you can call it a hockey stick. It's almost like a dancing pole. And I mean, we're up 415% on this thing. And it literally, August 16th, it was at 0.0076. September 18th, it's at 0.064. What's going on with this thing?
That is a great question, and I've been trying to figure out since this spike happened what led to it. But like you said, it really came out of nowhere. And I mean, if you look back at sort of the history of this token, I mean, it started off as a utility token that was paired with this messaging app, Nestry, and that funding ended August of 2019. So they secured 100% of their funding, and I mean, yeah, that was way back then. So that's completely has nothing to do with this. I've also looked to see if app downloads of their messaging app or usage of their messaging app has improved or upticked in any way. And I'm not seeing anything like that. So this really seems to me like some sort of anomaly, but I'm sure eventually an explanation as to what caused this will come out.
Is this a classic pump and dump that we're looking at forming, or what?
That's what it feels like on this end. I mean,
I guarantee you, if I was to buy a couple $100 of it right now, it would be down to zero tomorrow.
Scoreboards.
Yes, I definitely would not buy this. This is a no buy from me right now.
All right.
Just one thing I'll say is that, the technicals don't really help you on this asset as well as Uniswap, but just as a general principle in market psychology, like assets change, but ultimately the underlying human psychology of mania remains the same. So
it's a herd mentality, right?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
So, you know, and just for everybody out there, you know, I don't have a logical fundamental thing when we all decide what's hot or not on the list. A lot of these things like Nest Tree with their ticker egg are going to be ones that have really no fundamental or technical relevance at all. They just happen to have an anomaly of a pop, and we just want to bring it on, discuss it, because it is part of the market, and it is interesting to discuss and figure out, you know, what goes on with these, you know, these kind of ghost patterns. I'm definitely not trying to trick CJ or Monty. They know about these tickers before we come on. All right, so next is Chainlink. Chainlink is like, let's call it the crypto street darling of the last 6 to 8 months. Well, it's a darling when it's up, Rob. It's
That's right. Everybody loves you when you're a winner.
Exactly. So, I mean, you've covered this extensively. I know CJ and Monty have, you know, gone over the technicals on this. It's on my not list because, you know, we're nearly 50% of its off its all-time highs, which weren't, you know, too long ago. And you look at the Link Marines and whatnot, and they're all saying $50 by the end of the year or more. But really, does this thing have any legs to continue the uprise going into Q4 and come out of the year some huge home run?
I mean, I got to tell you, everybody thinks their project is going to be the winner at the end of the year, right? How many times have you seen the XRP army say, you know what, right around the corner, as soon as we get regulation, it's $100 a coin, off we go. So with Chainlink, I mean, there is now more competition in the actual field, so I can say that. But I mean, didn't they just have a partnership with Binance to put in their token to use for either their DeFi project or something else? Mm-hmm. So I thought it would actually increase, but I haven't seen too much action at all. And fundamentally, it hasn't changed. It hasn't been hacked. There's no other issues. So I don't see what the issue could be. I don't think it's going to go back to its all-time high anytime soon, but here we are.
Could it just
do you think it's a crowded market situation then, if you're just talking about it from a story perspective?
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it as like this is a crowded market and there's so many things to invest into. But I mean, how many types of oracles do we have out there right now? Chainlink, what's the one? I always forget the one that starts with a B.
Oh, a Band.
Band, and that I think that was listed not too long ago. And so I mean, we have those two types of oracles. I mean, what else do we have to get, you know, to take off-chain data via an API and put it into a blockchain? So I think it'll be used as time goes on, just the price action doesn't reflect that.
CJ, I know you were about to say something. Sorry about that.
All good. No, I mean, you look at the sentiment and I agree, like there's nothing fundamentally that's changed about this project. I think it just got a little bit ahead of itself in terms of price action because it got so much mainstream attention. It broke into the top 10 crypto market cap. And when you gain like a market cap so rapidly like that, sometimes it's difficult to just have more money in the space. Like there aren't a lot of bids up in this particular area. This is where we were like, you know, Dave Portnoy was buying Link, Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss were telling them all about it.
Link.
That was the top.
Yeah, that's when Ryan bought Link right there.
That's when I bought Link at that.
If Dave Portnoy says buy, I buy, always.
You guys got to tell me when you buy so I can pull out.
No, but you're right. I mean, what do you say the technicals are looking like right now, let's say going over the last 2-3 days there with the candlesticks?
Yeah, so following kind of a trend here, you know, I talked about NEO a little bit earlier when we have an asset which breaks above, you know, its previous candle close or candle body high. We pretty much have the exact same thing happening here. Except it's the inverse. It's on the bearish side. So we have a very bearish red engulfing 6 candle breaking below the prior swing low at around 1050. So when you break below this low, it's just not good from a bullish perspective. Like you don't really want to be holding this. A very similar thing happened with Voyager. Like once you get past this prior swing low, once you drop below it, it's just not really good. We have a tendency to drop off and kind of waterfall when we see these patterns occur. And I see Link being in a very similar setup at this particular point.
Okay, well, let's move on to the last not ticker of the week, and that's Kyber Networks. It's KNC. I don't want to spend too much time on them because we do have our news of the day, which is an interesting discussion. But here we have a price drop from August 15th to September 18th of nearly 50%. We're down 5.5% over the last 24-hour period. But CJ, tell us a little about this and what's going on.
Yeah, so I don't believe anything fundamental is wrong with the project or anything is critically changed. It's just another very similar pattern to what I illustrated previously on Link, except we're a little bit further down in the cycle. We've already broken past this prior swing low, and we're continuing on the sequential count going down to this red 5. And if we back up, like at least when it was listed on Binance and is compared to Tether, it is going to break below the ultimate swing low at about $1. We can already see it going down a little bit, but not what you want to see from a bullish perspective. I just thought this was one of the most bearish charts in crypto currently, so I figured we put it to the not list.
All right, Monty, any comments?
No, nothing to add. Yeah, this looks like a do not touch to me right now. So,
all right.
Well, wait, we talked about Ethereum Classic last week when we were saying, yo, let's not buy this. This is not good to buy at all. And then, of course, we get the turnaround. But so that's what will probably happen to Kyber Network as well.
It's kind of when Rob, when Rob, tries to not recommend a DeFi token, it ends up going up. So it's okay. It happens to all of us.
That's the thing, man. DeFi, it's just like whatever you think it's going to do, just do the opposite. That's what's going on with DeFi.
Well, we're ending this with probably one of the most interesting stories to come out in a long time in crypto, at least from a very positive angle. And I actually didn't see this coming. I wrote an article for CoinDesk on the OCC decision and what my thoughts were going to be in the future. I did not see Kraken doing this, but they're setting up the first crypto bank out of Wyoming. They were obviously doing stuff we didn't know about under the darkness of night. And up pops this news, which I think is huge. This is just jump into anybody because I just want to hear everybody's thoughts on this.
Not only is this a huge story, it's amazing that they got it done without anyone knowing about it because there's leaks about everything. Everything gets leaked. So how did this go like completely under the radar? It's amazing.
The power of Wyoming. Nothing's going on in Wyoming except this.
I mean, how do you not pick Jesse Powell walking down the street to the state house or the regulator or something? I mean, look at the picture right there. It's noticeable.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, I got it like this. You know what? This all comes back to that very first article that you wrote, Alex, that I had covered, where we talked about how the OCC says that the banks are going to be able to custody cryptocurrency. And everybody and their mother was like, this is the greatest thing ever for crypto and digital assets. And you're the one that said, wait, they're not going to do it because banks aren't innovators. They just sit back and don't do anything. So good luck if this even comes about in like a year or 2 years. And it was totally correct, right? So now you have something like this that comes out. This could be one of those catalysts that changes everything for banks. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but a lot of banks have been closing down for their foot traffic stores because they don't have enough foot traffic. So if you have something like this come about, maybe this could be like the Blockbuster to Netflix type of swap over. And then maybe the banks look around and go like, where's all our customers? Oh, they're all in cryptocurrency digital assets. Well, maybe we should do something about that. And maybe at that point it's too late, just like how Blockbuster got in the streaming game. And who's got Blockbuster now? It's like one store in Alaska. So
I follow them on Twitter. I love that Twitter.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, there is pretty good. They do pretty good stuff.
Listen, this is exactly what I thought was going to turn around with the OCC decision. It was going to be a crypto native firm. They are not followed too far behind by Avante, which is led by Caitlin Long. I think this is this is it. This is going to be the new trend. And you know what you don't need foot traffic for in banking? You don't need it for digital asset customers. They don't need to walk into a branch. You don't have to worry about it.
Everything's going to change. Everything's going to change. That's just how it's going to have to be. But I did this story a couple of days ago when it first broke, and it's a weird dichotomy. There's a big selection of people. One side is like, this is great. This is fantastic. This is going to push us to the forefront of the public consciousness. And the other side is like, that's not what we're all about. We're here to get away from the banks, and we're here to crush them, and we're here to be free. And now this, Kraken goes in there and starts to work with the banks. But there is this midline, which is our family, our parents are not going to go and jump on a nano ledger and start downloading things from some crazy exchange like Uniswap. It's just not going to happen. This thing has to happen first before things can progress, and just has to be like baby steps. That's how I see it.
I agree. Great innovation in the air. It's going to be awesome. I really hope Kraken kind of leads the way with this initiative. Can't wait. Everybody, thank you for joining us this week. Sunday, we're going to be recording a great episode. We're going to have a cast of people, some of my favorite people. Rob will be joining again. Ryan will be on again. We're going to have John Nigerian. We're going to have Danish Chaudhry, head of Bitcoin.com exchange. We're going to have Roger Ver. So it's going to be fantastic. And then, of course, tune in next week for Friday's episode of Trade the Chain. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.